What if I told you that some of the people who have testified so far in the Karen Read trial, who have been purposely deceptive, have already told on themselves? Welcome back to the channel, guys, if you have been here before, or welcome if it is your first time visiting. This statement does not come from a psychic standpoint. This is coming from the world of language, most specifically distancing language. Allow me to give you an example. The dog, her, she, it. You know who I'm talking about, guys? I know you do. Chloe, the Albert's German Shepherd, who was mysteriously rehomed after John O'Keefe's passing, who by popular demand we are going to look at today. So many of you have said, please look into Chloe's energy, and that is exactly what we're going to do, in addition to looking at the collective energy of the jury right now and that of Trooper Proctor. So we haven't heard anything from these key members, these key individuals in this case, in this trial, and the jury is very critical. Of course they are, because they hold Karen Read's fate in their hands. Now, when it comes to distancing language, it isn't just Chloe where we've heard this used. And people will often use distancing language unbeknownst to them. It happens almost instinctively when we as humans want to separate ourselves from an event or something that we are talking about that makes us uncomfortable, something that we don't want to be too closely tied to. So, for example, how many times have you heard someone sitting on the stand refer to Karen Read as the defendant? Someone who would be most inclined to have ordinarily called her Karen. How many times have you heard that? Let me know in the comments section down below if you've taken note of this. But for me, perhaps the most distressing incident of distancing language that I've heard used thus far is in relation to Officer John O'Keefe. I mean, we have heard him referred to as the guy, the body, a person on the lawn, a body on the lawn. I mean, really. It is so upsetting and so disrespectful to the family of John O'Keefe and to his memory. Everything about this case really speaks to a level of disregard to that officer who lost his life, and it truly, truly just jumps out at me as being something that we need to take note of. Why is this happening specifically? I'm hoping that my videos will help to enlighten us, and I believe these readings today are going to be equally as telling as the others that I've uploaded in the past. So we have a lot of ground to cover today, guys. Before we get started, I ask that you take a moment, if you haven't done so already, and subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave your notification bell on so you won't miss any future videos regarding this case or the others that you have requested that I do, and others that you will find that I'm going to bring you on my own. So that's going to do it for the opening, and without further ado, let's get started with the readings. Okay, friends, I'm at the reading table, and I've been told by my guys to use 2 different tarot decks for this reading. So I'm not sure why that is, but anyway, I listen. So I have the 8 coins tattoo tarot here on this side and the gilded tarot here on the other side. And I'm going to start out by reading Chloe. Now, because Chloe is an animal, the energy is limited. The messages are somewhat limited. So what I tend to do when I read animals, I will generally designate the questions to yes or no questions. And as such, I ask my spirit guides which cards are going to correspond to each. So in this case, I was told that for a yes answer, we will see all the sword cards, the wands, odd numbered cards, and all pages and kings. All right, so if any of those come out, then we know we are receiving a yes. And conversely, if the answer is no, we'll see cups, pentacles, even numbered cards, knights, and queens. Either Chloe was involved in the attack on John O'Keefe, or she wasn't. Either Chloe was purposefully rehomed as a way of hiding evidence or she wasn't. And I'm going to look at whether Chloe landed the fatal blow, so to speak, in John O'Keefe's death. So there are 3 questions I'm going to be asking the tarot, and so they're all yes or no questions, okay? And then what I'm going to do is make some predictions ahead, and we'll take it from there. So, to my first question, was Chloe involved in causing harm or injury to Officer O'Keefe that evening? I predict yes, she was. Was the rehoming of Chloe done as a way of hiding evidence, important evidence? Again, I predict yes, she was. And finally, were the fatal injuries to John O'Keefe caused by Chloe? And I'm going to say no on that one. So those are my psychic predictions ahead of seeing what the universe wants to clarify for me, and hopefully for you guys as well, because I've had a lot of requests, as I said earlier, for us to look into Chloe, the rehomed German Shepherd. Okay, so now that you've seen how this works, and this is pretty much the case when I read animals, or sometimes questions that are very direct, and these are not always the same. This is just what I've been told to assign for this particular reading. All right, so I'm going to move this to the side. And for Chloe's reading, I'm being told to use the Gilded Tarot, so I'm going to set the Tattoo Tarot aside. So it'll be majority rules, right? So if we get 2 yeses and 1 no, then it's, of course, leaning toward yes, and vice versa. I'm going to clear the energy of this deck, and we're going to see what the universe wants to say with reference to my prediction regarding Chloe. Card that's going this way. Wow, we have a couple of them. Look at this. We had some cards flip over, which is unusual. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take that as a sign, and I'm going to mix them up like this. And you see we've got 3 and 3. So I'm going to mix them up, and we'll just put 1 there. All right, so this is going to relate to my first question, which is, was Chloe involved? Did Chloe cause any harm or injury to Officer O'Keefe that evening? All right, we've got the 5 of Swords, so that's an odd number. And then we've got the King of Swords and the Ace of Swords, guys. Now, I also find it interesting, very interesting, that all of these came up in the Swords. If you have watched any of my prior readings, when it comes to true crime, the Swords cards always indicate battle, wounds, and physical injury. And we have 3 swords here coming up around that question. For Chloe, we also have the 5, which is an odd number, the King, and the Ace being number 1. So yeah, guys, resoundingly yes from the spirit world, stating that Chloe most certainly did somehow, some way jump in and get involved. All right, now we're going to look at the next 3 cards that seem to want to come out along with those cards. And this relates to my second question, which is, was Chloe rehomed by the Alberts in an attempt to hide evidence? So let's see. We have the World. That is card number 21. We have the 7 of Wands. The 7 of Wands. And then we have the 2 of Cups. Okay, so majority rules. Let's look at our list here. We've got Wands, and we have 2 odd-numbered cards. So with majority rule, we get another yes here as to Chloe having been sent away because this was evidence in her involvement in what went on that evening with Officer O'Keefe. Now, I feel as though with the 2 of Cups popping in here, which is saying no, because all cups and even numbers. I want you to look at this depiction. We have two females, it looks like here. So what I'm hearing here is that this decision to send Chloe away was driven by female energy. So perhaps Mrs. Albert, Nicole, in combination with another female, were the ones to say, hey, let's get this dog rehomed. Let's get her out of here. Let's get it out of here. Remember that distancing language I spoke of earlier, okay? So yeah, she was rehomed purposefully, guys. All right, I'm going to reshuffle this deck and we're going to get into the final question, which is, was Chloe the one who caused the... We just had 3 cards literally drop, so there you go. The universe wants to get through this pretty quickly with regards to Chloe. So was Chloe the one who caused the fatal injury to John? I think no. I'm being told no, but I could be wrong, guys. I could be wrong. So we're going to quickly flip. My prediction is no. All right, so remember, for no, we're looking at cups, pentacles, or even numbered cards, knights and queens. So we have 8, which is an even number. We have 4, which is an even number, and we have 6. So we have a resounding no in that respect. We do have 1 sword pop up, but that's okay. We're going to go by majority rules here, and we have all even numbered cards. And interesting that this strength card shows up with an animal's energy here and a woman. Look at the woman. She's got this chain around the animal. So again, I'm going to double down on the fact that I believe it was probably Nicole Albert's final say-so in choosing to rehome Chloe. And this comes as no surprise to me, you guys. I don't think that Chloe landed a fatal blow. Yes, she was in on the attack because I think she was responding from a place of instinct, an animal instinct inside of herself. But the Alberts were like, yeah, she's out of here. Mrs. Albert was like, we've got to get rid of her. Get rid of this dog. And again, this dog, her, it, all distancing themselves from the emotional attachment connected to that dog. So we're going to move on, and I think for the next set of questions, we're going to work with the Tattoo Tarot deck. And perhaps we'll go back to this one for our final look, which we'll be looking at Officer or Trooper Proctor with this deck. Okay, now guys, I want to take a look most specifically at the overall energy of the jury members. Now, obviously, there's a lot of energy around the jury because it's more than one individual. So I'm going to see what messages come out and how I can correlate that into some sort of a collective energy. I do want to state that when I've looked into this psychically, I'm being told that not every juror is on the same page at this given moment in time. But let's see what else we can find out, okay? And of course, they're not talking about this, or they're not supposed to be anyway. So we'll see what the universe wants to tell us regarding what is the jury thinking? How are they feeling about everything that they have heard thus far? All right, so we had our first 3 cards flip over. So let's take a look at what they are, guys. Judgment. Interesting, because who but the jury is standing in judgment right now? I mean, of course, we all are, each of us, but the judgment of the jury is critical. It's going to be critical here in determining the fate of Karen Reed. And the messages I kept hearing is they're not on the same page. And you can see that very clearly here. So we've got this like horned creature, I guess you could say like the devil on one side and this angel on the other. And the gavel of justice. But these flames, this is very indicative to me of energies that are not jiving with one another right now. They're not in unison. Okay, so yeah, they're not in unison at this moment in time. Okay. the Star. Okay, remember in this reading, I don't know if you have taken note of this in previous Karen Reed trial readings that I have uploaded, but the Star is representative of that law enforcement energy. I'm being told that some of the jury members are reluctant to believe that law enforcement could be so deceptive. That is what I'm hearing. Like, they want to believe that the law enforcement members or the law enforcement involvement is what I'm being told. They want to believe that it is not deceptive because they want to look up to law enforcement with reverence. And to that point, I want to state that I believe nobody on this earth despises corrupt law enforcement more than good cops. So just keep that in mind, okay? Because when police officers act in an underhanded way, it sheds a negative light on all of the good and truthful and honest police officers. And it makes them all look bad. And they don't want that. That is unfair to them. Okay, and then we've got the Seven of Pentacles. What I'm hearing with the Seven of Pentacles is that the jury is working very hard at putting the pieces together of what they are hearing so far. And they are working to grow what they feel to be a cohesive narrative that makes sense to them. That's what I'm hearing, okay? So they are trying to put the pieces together and to grow a narrative that is almost like the best of both worlds is what I'm hearing. The best of both worlds. So it isn't as though they have decided yet to believe the defense completely or the prosecution completely. Remember, they're sort of still a bit at odds. I'm going to make one more draw for this question with the jury because I feel as though it's calling for it. All right. These two cards. 2 or 3? Oh, another 3. Okay. Interesting. So we'll take another 3. Let's flip them now. The Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups and the Four of Wands. Oh goodness, you guys. The Hanged Man. I hope that that is not indicative of where we are. However, remember, this is a snapshot of this moment in time. We have not, as of yet, reached the conclusion of this trial. So I feel as though this Hanged Man energy is coming up to more or less speak to this Judgment card here. So at this moment in time, I'm hearing that if they had to call it right now, it would be a hung jury. It would be a hung jury because there's too much, like, I don't want to say dissension because I don't think that the jury members are not getting along with one another. I feel as though they are forming and working toward one collective point of view and decision. But I'm being told that they are waiting very anxiously to hear what is going to be presented in the defense's case when their case in chief comes up. Okay? As of this moment, I'm hearing that the jury is feeling as though the evidence that is being put in place by the prosecution is very muddled. It's very confusing to them. And they're trying very diligently to make sense of it. And I'm hearing that some jury members are leaning defense right now. Some jury members are definitely not feeling the prosecution's case. Now we have the Four of Wands here. Okay, so with this Four of Wands coming up, what I'm hearing is that there are at least 4 jury members who have pretty much already made up their minds. And that is leaning toward the defense's case 4. Now, I know that's not a lot, but it is at least 4 people who, unbeknownst to one another, have pretty much already said, yeah, this is looking like a done deal. This is looking like a done deal in its presentation thus far by the reasonable doubt that has been raised by the defense's efforts. I'm being told one more pull. I don't know why, but we'll do one more because I want to get on to Trooper Proctor's energy. Trooper Proctor's energy, and he has not taken the stand. So I have no idea what all he would have to say for himself, or will perhaps have to say for himself. But we're going to get into his energy. Okay. All right, guys. That's why I was told one more draw. That's why. Because we have the World, the 21st card in the deck, the World. This pretty much means a successful completion. So do not get too alarmed by the fact right now that we have a jury being somewhat hung at this moment in time. I am hearing that there will be a successful completion. At least, again, that is the energy of this moment. Please know that any message that comes out today with regard to a prediction of the ending of this trial is looking at the energy in this moment. Anything could happen to change the events, anything, and change the outcome. Now, what does that mean? It means that one or more jurors can suddenly, at the last minute, have a change of heart, and we can jump back into that hung up energy. But at this moment in time, I feel as though they all really want to work together to arrive at what they feel to be a just and fair ruling. Okay, that is what they desire. They are sitting there just clamoring, waiting for that defense case to come up. I am hearing, and I have heard prior to this reading, that they are getting frustrated with the prosecution's case and with the prosecutor, and that they are at some point zoning out. I'm hearing that they are sometimes even a bit bored. They're feeling a redundancy in the questions. They are also annoyed by some of the questions that the prosecution is asking. And some of them are very much feeling as though they're being purposely deceived. That's what I'm hearing, guys. That is pretty much in a nutshell what is going on with the jury right now. They're working to have a successful completion of this trial. I mean, again, they're not in deliberations. So perhaps I will take another look at this once we get to that point of deliberation. I'll do another reading, an update reading. But at this moment in time, they're not conversing with one another. They aren't talking it over. So it will be interesting to see whether this energy changes, whether this disappears altogether when we get into that deliberation phase. These are the messages thus far from my spirit guides with respect to where the jury is at this moment in time. I'm going to clear this up. We're going to go back to the other deck, and we're going to take a look at Trooper Proctor and what's going on with him. So we're back with the Gilded Tarot. We had a card flip right out, and I just noticed we had another one that was turned the other way. When they are just seemingly turned for some unknown reason, I will read them as wanting to be read. So yeah, what's up with Trooper Proctor? I believe that there's something going on there that could be of nefarious intent. So we've had 3. Let's look at these 3 thus far with respect to Trooper Proctor's motivations and how he has handled the investigation of John O'Keefe's death. The 5 of Swords. Okay. The 5 of Wands. Guys, this is crazy to me already. And the 7 of Cups. Wow. The Five of Swords is the card of deception. Look at the imagery here, guys. Check out the imagery. We have one man. So obviously we're in Trooper Proctor's energy. He is holding up this sword, indicative of a battle, a fight, doing anything he needs to do to win, regardless of the outcome. We have all of this destruction around him. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the Five of Swords. It doesn't matter. And if we're in Trooper Proctor's energy here, he is doing whatever he feels he needs to do to concoct this deception. And he doesn't care who he hurts in the carrying out of his plan. Like, wow, that this card came out. And then I believe this was the card that was turned over. The Five of Wands. What do we see here? We see battle. And what I'm hearing with this card is that there were at least 5 individuals surrounding Trooper Proctor, not fighting with him. This battle is not indicative of anything going on around Trooper Proctor. But these individuals are in assistance with Trooper Proctor. These could also be bit players is what I'm hearing. Meaning other people, such as, I believe his name is Trooper Buchanan, and others that are behind the scenes helping to construct this false narrative, moving parts and pieces as they will. Moving parts and pieces is what I'm hearing. Really? Okay. The Seven of Cups. We know what the Seven of Cups means, guys. It means choices and decisions that can often lead someone to a place that they shouldn't be led. So in the Seven of Cups, again, there's a lot of energy with the Seven of Cups of like stepping carefully, moving wisely, placing things in such a way as to get a result that you want to see happen and not allowing things to be as they truly are with the Seven of Cups. So there is energy around Trooper Proctor that is deceptive. And I also want to point out what I've just heard here with the Seven of Cups is that he may have also been in cahoots with 7 people that were at 34 Fairview. So, okay, let me clarify what I'm getting here right now. So these 5 energies here coming up around Trooper Proctor, I believe these were bit players. And when I say that, I'm meaning that these were not people who were at the home that evening, all right? These are the energies of individuals at 34 Fairview on that night. So these 5 people are assisting Trooper Proctor because we've got 2 5s here. 2 5s equals 10, which equals the completion of a cycle. And it's no coincidence that there were 5 here and 5 here. So we had 5 helpers. Buchanan was definitely one of them. And there were 4 other individuals that helped to move evidence, that helped to tamper with, that helped to destroy, I'm hearing, manipulate, I'm hearing, navigate, and present evidence in a way that he wanted it to be seen. And this was done in accordance with some of the energies of the individuals in the home that evening, 7 of them to be exact. All right, that is what I have just heard. All right, and I'm hearing another pull, guys. I'm sorry if this is running long, but I'm hearing take another pull. Okay, we had, oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, this is why I listen to the messages. Look at this, you guys. Wow, 10 of Wands and the 9 of Wands. Just look at the depiction here coming up in Trooper Proctor's energy, you guys. The 10, the completion of a cycle. But look at this. Trooper Proctor carried all of this deception, he's carrying it. He's carrying it on his back. He is the one making sure, or who wanted to make sure, that the individuals that should be charged, he didn't want them to be charged. He wanted to ensure that he did everything in his power to try to clear their name. I mean, he's just like saddling himself, but he wanted this burden. He very much wanted this for whatever reason. There's some connection. If you guys know it, because you know the case better than I do, I'm truly trying to not watch every single detail about this trial and case. But if you know, drop it in the comments. Why was Trooper Proctor so intent on dying on this hill? Why is that? We have the Nine of Wands, okay? It's just like, again, look at him. He is down for it. He's down for this narrative. He is literally on his hands and knees or so forth, bowing down. I'm hearing here with handheld manipulation of evidence, of important key evidence is what I'm hearing. His hands are on it as well, not just these other 5 people. So he isn't just the orchestrator of these false facts that are being put out there for the consumption of the jury, for the public to try to digest. He actually has his hands on it himself, or had his hands on it. He may still. Okay, guys, so what I'm hearing, what I've derived from these 5 cards, and I also find it interesting that we have 5, 5, and 5 cards. What Trooper Proctor wanted to accomplish with his involvement, with his being the one to take over the investigation in this case, is he wanted to direct a narrative that would basically free up the individuals responsible for the demise of John O'Keefe. He wanted to deflect, not only deflect, but deceive. He wanted to, I'm hearing, plant or manipulate evidence, plant and or manipulate, probably both, evidence. He wanted to move it. He wanted to enlist the help of other players here behind the scenes that weren't at that home, but he directed them. He directed them to get involved in this web of deceit, I'm hearing, that Trooper Proctor had a very, very larger than life role in creating. And that is probably why he has not been on the stand to date, because the prosecution does not want any of this to come to light. This is what they want hidden. And this is exactly what the defense wants you to know, what they want to prove, because this is the truth of the matter. Overall, I feel as though this reading provided me with a lot of insight, especially with what is going on with the jury at this moment in time. So I, for one, am very anxious for the prosecution to rest their case and see and hear what all the defense is going to say. Because I think that right now, again, the jury is waiting. I'm hearing with bated breath, they are waiting, because they want to fit the defense's pieces into this puzzle. Because at this moment in time, there are puzzle pieces missing. And there are several jurors that are feeling misled. Confusion, misled, and everything else I mentioned previously. So That's it, guys. I know this was a long video, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching and commenting, sharing your thoughts and your conclusions with us, with me, and for subscribing if you haven't done so already. And please take a moment and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm to get this video seen by others. And I do appreciate each and every one of you for spending some of your time with me today. And I'll be back really soon with follow-up readings. We're going to stay with this case and others that you have requested. So make sure you do keep that notification bell on so you don't miss anything up ahead. So that's going to do it for me for today. As always, be blessed.